Hey there, and welcome back to A Conspiracy of Gods, a custom 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign written and produced by me, DeRay. I'm your DM, and we're about to meet the players. But before we do, I want to offer a very special thank you to Matthew Wexler, the exceptionally talented man that recorded the music you'll hear in this episode and all of the other ones. They were tracks composed specifically for us here at A Conspiracy of Gods, and we are very thankful. Now, let's get back to those players, shall we?
Hi, I'm Chris. I play Calcifer, Fortune of the Mountain. He's a cleric.
I'm Brendan. I play Zan Aura, the half-orc artificer.
I am Casey. I play Sarathiel Urudir. She's an elven druid.
I'm Joel. I play Fitzwilliam Halifax, halfling extraordinaire, lover of people, and patron of the arts. He's a bard.
Definitely what I was expecting.
Have mostly successfully made it through the tunnels. Sarathiel kind of feels a little shitty about herself right now.
A little.
A little. But you've made it to the tunnels, and you kind of exit this tunnel. And actually, you do notice, as you're traveling, that the lava troughs have transitioned from being in the sides of the walls to actually being overhead. And you don't really remember when that happened because, I mean, it's a solid orange light, nothing really changed. But you realize they're overhead now, and you exit this tunnel into a cavern, into the cavern of Kallak Dur. And the sight you come upon is kind of horrifying. You see this massive and majestic dwarven city fallen into ruin, crumbling buildings and destroyed bridges everywhere. You see this city, these bridges going over this massive lake inside of the cavern. And above, huge, massive tubes of lava lighting the entire area and heating it. These are unbroken, but the city itself looks desolate and decayed and just a shadow of its former glory.
Have we taken a long rest yet?
Yes, it's been about a day and a half.
Is it ruined because it's abandoned, or was it ruined and then abandoned?
As best you can tell, a lot of this destruction is the result of someone acting. This is not the destruction of age, especially with these exceedingly well-made dwarven structures. Like, these are very well-made buildings that have been actively destroyed at some point.
I would like to see if I can tell why that is.
So roll history for me.
9.
Okay. You remember at some point hearing about a raid or something, a group, an army of a bunch of different races. Again, it's been a while. You don't really remember well. But you remember hearing about some sort of massive war between the Atlak dwarves and an army of other races that basically resulted in the loss of all of the Atlak dwarven cities. They were basically all wiped out at some point in the past. You don't remember when or precisely what happened.
I remember this and then say, anybody got anything else?
Fitzwilliam is looking to see if he can see any people.
No, you can't. You can't. I mean, you see some statues, but you don't see any moving people from where you are.
Is there any motion in general?
There's a little rippling in the lake, below you. It's probably like 200 to 300 feet below you.
So tempting to dive, but I'll wait.
I mean, basically, where you stand, there are bridges that extend from the edge of essentially a cliff that leads down to the lake into the city proper.
Are the lava troughs still in good repair?
As best you can tell, yeah. It doesn't seem... I mean, they are running along the ceiling, and the ceiling's probably 100 feet above the city, so if anyone had tried to attack them, it would have been quite difficult, but as best you can tell, they're fine. So you cross the one remaining intact bridge into the city. The rest have kind of crumbled. Some of them are still standing, but they're in pretty bad disrepair, and you cross into this city, and at the end of the bridge in the city, you actually see 2 massive, imposing statues of dwarves. And Calcifer, if you will roll an intelligence check for me.
16.
Okay. You know, looking at these statues, that these are memorials of the greatest warrior kings of the Atlak clans, or at least the greatest warrior kings of this city. And you know, basically, that these 2 kings died about 1,200 years ago. Not during the war, you do know that. They died of natural causes, but they were considered the greatest kings the Kallak dwarves ever had, and they're watching the pass into the city.
So basically, Calcifer just kind of relays this as a tour guide as we're walking through.
And here you see...
What?
And here you see the statues of our 2 greatest kings. Please admire their great craftsmanship.
No, of the Atlak kings, not of the Karashek or the Kanar dwarves. I do need all of you to roll perception for me, please.
Can I have advantage because Fitzwilliam was specifically...
Jesus Christ! I rolled a 3. That's fantastic.
No, because you're not
okay.
For people.
8.
Okay.
4.
8 for Fitzwilliam.
And 4.
Jesus Christ!
Don't see shit. You don't see shit.
And I'd also like to point out that my 8 is with a 5 added perception bonus.
Ooh.
Wait, hold on. Let me see. Do I even have that as a bonus? Hold on.
With a 4, it's not going to matter.
No, I'm just curious. My bonus, he had nothing. Negative 12.
So you guys kind of, you move carefully through this city, partially because it is kind of crumbling and decaying, but also because the High Noble had told you that, you know, he suspects this rogue dwarf is in the Atlak cities, and you assume that Kallak Dur, being the nearest one, would be, you know, the most logical place for this dwarf to be. So you move in, and you see more signs of destruction. Huge motifs and mosaics that have just been destroyed through force, burned down or torn down, destroyed walls and doors. You see the skeletal bodies of dwarves and orcs, ash piles that were likely tieflings, and just bones scattered throughout streets and in buildings. And so you keep moving kind of around these remains throughout the streets in the city. You move over piles of rubble, and, you come to a fairly empty square with 4 statues standing tall atop pedestals, with an additional 5th pedestal around which they're the shattered remains of what you suspect had stood upon it. But obviously you can't tell what it is now. And can I get religion checks from all of you?
That's something I'm good at.
I'm not.
Nope.
I would suggest your cleric is also probably good at it.
I mean,
I got a +4 to it.
I got a 14.
Okay.
I also got a 14.
Okay.
I got a 17.
And Brendan, you got a 16? Okay.
Yep.
All of you look at these statues and you know right away, these are statues in the likeness of the true gods, of Mialisha, Rasterik, Luliander, and Altasoth, which means you can only assume that the 5th statue would have been Beliak, but you have no idea why or how it would have shattered in this way, because this doesn't look like it was torn down and destroyed. It looks like it exploded outward. It's fragments, not pieces.
So, probably magical?
You can roll Arcana.
Probably not gonna tell me, but 11.
This area is incredibly magical. It's so magical you can't actually tell what kind of magic it is, but there is a lot of magic centered in this square.
I relay that information.
Okay.
Anybody want to try for a perception check?
I do actually need everyone to roll perception. So.
Oh, that's convenient.
Oh my god, my first perception roll over a 10.
I rolled 6.
One at a time.
Okay, apparently Joel and I are roll twinsies again.
Oh my god, twinsies.
So
I think I need a pair of glasses. I think that's Zon's problem, is he just needs a new prescription.
So we've got a 12 for Fitzwilliam, a 6 for Zon, a 12 for Sarathiel, and...
11.
Alright, you guys don't notice anything. You can't...
Does Zon see any really cool plants, though?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. You guys have not actually seen anything living anywhere in this city at all. All you can really tell is that these statues are incredibly well made. I mean, beyond even what you expect out of dwarven craftsmanship. These are perfect likenesses. So someone either crafted them with incredible care or something else created them.
Guys, the gods are entombed inside.
I'm pretty sure the gods aren't entombed.
Well, if one of them was supposedly dead and his statue exploded.
It does seem suspicious, yeah.
Okay.
Remember that thing we did with the shard of the god? Do you think that has anything to do with this?
It was a sliver of a god trapped inside a box.
Yes. Does it look like there is a sliver of a god that has recently rejoined here?
I look pointedly at the shattered remains of the 5th statue, and I say there are a lot of slivers around.
Can I make an investigation check?
Yeah.
If you can spot one tiny piece missing.
That's a 15. Probably not good enough.
Okay,
it is
so
15.
you look at these pieces, and this thing absolutely, without question, exploded from the inside out. But
okay.
Beyond that, you can't really tell anything. You can't even tell what kind of stone these statues are made out of, based more off the fact that you've never seen a stone like this than anything else.
Please remind me of the 5th god's name.
Beliak.
Oh, I do.
Can we tell... when did Beliak die?
Okay, so there are kind of two conflicting stories. There were rumors that Beliak died during the war with the Rift Fallen, and this would have been 8,000 years ago, give or take. But there were also champions of Beliak in the intervening years. So no one was ever really certain that he was actually dead. They suspected he might have become the god of the dead or something along those lines, but that he was still around. But then about 1,200 years ago, give or take, he just disappeared. His champions lost all of their powers, and he disappeared. Every influence that he might have had seemed to just vanish, unexpectedly and without explanation.
And when was this war between the dwarves and the other races?
So you aren't certain. You know that the dwarven kings that overlooked the bridge on the way in died about 1,200 years ago of natural causes, and the dwarves had time to build the statues. So you would guess the war was maybe 700 to 900 years ago. Again, you really aren't certain. You've forgotten that history lesson.
So much sooner than 1,200 years, though?
Yeah, you think that's a fair guess, especially based off of the remains you found in the city.
And the statue looks like it exploded at the time of the war. Or can we not tell?
You can't tell. You cannot tell.
Okay. Well, my thought is that if the gods were somehow bound to these statues, or if the statues were bound to the gods, one way or the other, if the god Beliak disappeared completely and his influence disappeared completely 1,200 years ago, perhaps that's when this statue exploded, although the war was long after that.
Well, that's existentially terrifying.
Okay. While you're having this conversation, you all are kind of glancing around. I mean, you're looking at the statues, just kind of fascinated by them, but you're also paying attention to the rest of the square. And you realize it looks like the rubble you've been seeing everywhere in the city has been moved here. Someone's been moving things around. And it looks deliberate. It doesn't look like anything natural would have done it. And as you kind of notice this, you also pick up on... You start to hear someone talking. It kind of echoes off the walls of the city and the cavern.
Hold on, quick question.
Yeah.
Does it look like the person has been moving the pieces of the statue of Beliak?
Roll perception.
That is an 11.
Nope. As far as you can tell, no one has moved the pieces.
Okay.
You're not entirely certain that anyone can move the pieces, actually.
Okay, anyway, continue. Someone is talking to themselves.
Yeah, you start hearing someone's conversation, and it definitely seems like they're talking to someone, even though you can't hear the second speaker. You're having a hard time placing it. Perception rolls, please.
That is a 24.
Oh my god, I got a nat 20.
Okay.
I need a pair of glasses.
Okay.
And a hearing aid, apparently.
Yeah, that too.
So Zahn, who rolled a 3, is fascinated by these pieces of the statue of Beliak, and is just very minutely inspecting them, oblivious to the world around them. Calcifer, who rolled a 15, hears the voices but isn't certain where they're coming from. Sarathiel and Fitzwilliam know exactly where they're coming from, and Fitzwilliam has some kind of like preternatural sense of how to get there, while Sarathiel's fairly certain she could find the way.
Shall we go find whoever that is?
I'm sorry, who?
Yeah. Zahn doesn't even...
Zahn, there's a person speaking. Seem to have a conversation.
Yes, so what do your elven ears hear?
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
What did
Good, yes.
The hobbits.
Alright, so what are you guys gonna do?
Should we go quietly?
Because I'm sure all 4 of us will definitely succeed on our stealth rolls.
Oh yeah, definitely, since I have a disadvantage on stealth roll. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, last time somebody tried doing something stealthy, they knocked over an entire library of books.
Not true. Last time someone tried doing something stealthy, they successfully hid from a fire giant for a while.
Oh, yeah, very true, very true.
So,
Sure.
What do you guys want?
I would say not, trying to be stealthy per se, but not like clomping around.
Yeah, so moving quietly, but not suspiciously.
Right.
Are there any tall buildings around us?
So the square is fairly clear, but the path to get to where these voices are do have some ruined buildings that are what's left of them is maybe 3 stories tall. You're not certain you'll actually be able to get to the 3rd story because you don't know like what the insides look like. But there's a couple of 3-story tall buildings, or what's left of buildings.
I didn't know if somebody who had good acrobatics wanted to scale up one and use the stones of Spar Speak and see if it's anything.
I definitely think getting a height advantage might be worthwhile, since we don't know who this person is.
Okay, so actually, Calcifer and Fitzwilliam, please roll perception.
I can't keep getting good ones.
Oh no!
What?
Okay.
Another nat 20.
You got me.
Nice. Okay.
I got a 9.
Okay. So, you, Calcifer, you're trying to strain to hear, and you're not, it's coming, you hear the voices, but you're not really certain. Fitzwilliam, you, like, perk up your ears and you listen very carefully, and you hear, without question, someone speaking in Dwarven and someone speaking in Gnomish.
Ooh, well, lucky for me. I know both of those.
Yes. And it sounds like they're having an argument. One voice is saying something about how the gnomes have abused the access they've been given, while the gnome is saying that the dwarf has been paid more than enough to allow continued access to the tunnels. And they're basically having an argument. It sounds like they're almost haggling, but they're very angry with each other. And the dwarf keeps saying something about how the king didn't agree to this many gnomes coming through.
This sounds familiar.
So, turn to the others and say, you know how I kinda have a bunch of gnomes trying to kill me?
Oh no.
You did mention.
Well, this is kind of the reason. There's this thing between the gnomes and the dwarves, and that's what they're talking about.
This thing,
Sort
can you
of
elaborate?
thing.
Well, the gnomes are doing some really, really sketchy, horrible stuff, and they paid the dwarves to let them do it through their tunnels to avoid attracting the gaze of Ilios. Yeah.
Horrible
So-
how? What are they doing?
So, they're interfering with the wall, the Palon wall. I don't know exactly what they're doing on the other side, but knowing the gnomes and knowing the specific ones that are behind this, it's nothing good.
Are they interfering? Like, do you know if they're trying to breach it for any reason, or are they just getting to the other side, or?
They're getting to the other side. They're using the dwarven tunnel system to get underneath the wall.
Well, sounds like some sort of smuggling to me, but
Sarathiel would not think that. She knows the gnomes well enough and enough about the gnomes to know that they don't actually undertake in smuggling. Anytime they're trying to sell stuff, they're very open about it because they believe in the quality of their goods. Smuggling is, like, unheard of for gnomes.
okay, is there anything I might think it would be?
You really wouldn't have any idea.
Okay.
Calcifer?
Calcifer would only really know that tunnels under the Palon Wall exist, that they were mined by the Tanar dwarves generations ago, hundreds upon hundreds of years, back before the wall was actually constructed. And everyone is kind of familiar with gnomish scientific curiosity. They're very into understanding science, and the studying of things in general. What they might specifically be studying, you're not really certain.
Okay.
Yeah, like, the existence of the tunnels, Calcifer, is not a secret. access to them is what's the most difficult thing to obtain. It takes the writ of the king or the entire assembly of nobles.
So, Fitzwilliam, why are they trying to kill you? Did you try and stop them? Is it just because you know about it?
Because knowledge is dangerous, and they don't want anyone finding out about this. So, sorry, but you're also implicated now.
As you guys are standing here talking, you actually hear the conversation getting closer to you. And it sounds like it sounds like the tones have calmed down. They seem to have come to some agreement. And
what's the nearest building that looks like we might be able to hide reasonably in it?
It's gonna be about 60 feet away, and it's past the edge of the square. It's a ruined, what looks like it might have been a smithy or a shop of some kind.
Fitzwilliam tries to hide in some rubble.
Wait.
Fitzwilliam fails.
Shit.
And that
was a 17.
Yeah, I rolled a 19.
God damn.
As everyone's trying to figure out what to do, you actually see a dwarf in very, very fine, noble clothing, and a gnome in very plain clothing, armed with a short sword and with a gold chain around his neck. What's at the end of the chain you can't see, but they walk into the open in the square, and they're kind of shocked to see you for a moment, and the dwarf actually tries to dive away and hide. I need perception checks.
Yeah, because we know I'm great at that. Oh, hey! 19.
9. I have no idea where he went.
Okay, why have we flipped roles?
Right? Zahn suddenly just found out he had a pair of spectacles in his bag the entire time. Was like, I see what you're doing.
Okay, so,
and suddenly Fitzwilliam gets everything.
Yeah, so Fitzwilliam rolled a 16, Zahn rolled a 19, Sarathiel, you rolled
9.
9, and Calcifer rolled a 16. So with the exception of Sarathiel, you absolutely see where this dwarf tried to jump into. And actually, Calcifer, you know who this is.
Okay, who is it?
Yes.
Yes, who is it?
This is, hang on.
Okay.
Yeah. The gnome, however, isn't trying to run. He's standing there, and Fitzwilliam, you see he's kind of staring at you, not in shock, but kind of in smug superiority. And seeing as he knows that there are 4 of you to his 1, he looks at Fitzwilliam and he kind of fiddles with his shirt, and he brings out this pendant with this very, very small sapphire stone on the end of it. And he draws it out, and holding it in his hand, he smirks at the entire group, looks at Fitzwilliam, and says, "You really ought to have left us, or you really ought not to have left us, Fitzwilliam. Such a shame your partner died. Wouldn't you say?"
Yeah, real shame.
And internally,
Fitzwilliam was like, jackass, 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 jackass.
And in a brilliant flash of light, this gnome is gone. Roll some Arcana checks.
Nope. 6.
I got a 14.
Got a 17 over here.
Hold on, I'm working on it.
Yep.
Yeah, me and Chris are over here.
So
something happened.
So Chris rolled a 7, and Zahn, you actually realize, you look at this, and you're pretty certain that this gnome has shifted planes of existence using this pendant. You know that usually this is only done through a spell, and it usually only opens up the ethereal plane for a few seconds, traveling usually only to a place within eyesight, maybe 30 or 60 feet away. It's unusual for it to last more than a few seconds. But seeing as the gnome has not reappeared anywhere, you suspect that he's somehow managed somehow to enter a plane that is beyond the ethereal plane, or maybe enter the ethereal plane more permanently, and is, you assume, using it to travel great distances.
Okay. I relay that to everyone.
Okay. I also need everyone to make a perception roll.
Right back to 3s.
That could have lasted. It's a
12.
13.
Okay. So, Sarathiel and Calcifer, you notice that where the gnome had been standing is a small device on the ground. And actually, as all of you are watching, you actually see this device start glowing and floating into the air.
I pointed out to the other two and I say, Fitzwilliam, that's probably not good, is it?
And Fitzwilliam, you actually recognize some of this device from schematics you saw during some of the things you did for some of the people you worked for. And
no.
The schematics you saw were of a weapon of devastating effect. And you actually also roll an intelligence check for me, please.
Okay. Wow. It's a 5.
It's okay, because this was a really easy check.
Oh.
Yeah, like super easy.
Shit. That can't be good.
In the hazy fog of memory, in the half dream-like state, you remember waking up in Ebelis, in the inn in Ebelis. This device looks shockingly like the device you saw them put at the foot of your bed in Ebelis. And this is continuing to... It's floating higher and higher and glowing brighter and brighter.
Okay, so Fitzwilliam says, guys, we gotta go now, and starts running.
Okay.
Yep, I'm sprinting right after him.
I follow.
Dwarves are natural sprinters.
So you guys get about 30 feet away, about to the edge of the square, and this purple light that's being emitted by this device is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And you assume that it's about to explode. You don't think you're going to make it out of this city in time. And then suddenly, it stops. It's gone. It just disappears. There's
Keep
no
running,
explosion.
must keep running.
There's no explosion. There's no cacophonous end. Just is gone.
But we are here we need to be.
You also hear the tink of metal being dropped on stone.
Can I potentially investigate it or do an arcana check to figure out what just happened?
You can turn around and look.
Yeah.
I keep running.
You see, as best you can tell, a stone golem standing basically in front of where this device was. It looks like it's basically clapped its hands over the device and destroyed it utterly. And actually,
I glance over my shoulder when Zahn stops, see it, and grab Fitzwilliam by the collar.
Fitzwilliam, are you going to try and resist?
A little bit, yeah.
Alright, roll dexterity.
Okay.
And it's actually dexterity contest, so Sarathiel will roll as well.
16.
I got a 5.
Alright, so Fitzwilliam slips right out of your hands. But actually, as you're looking back into this square where these statues stood, you realize that the statue of Rasteric is missing from its pedestal.
Oh.
Huh.
And Calcifer, you are hit with a brick wall of holy energy. Not like anyone's attacking you, just there's a lot of holy energy going on in this place, and you can feel it.
You are now the magical equivalent of built like a brick shithouse.
Guys, my holy senses are tingling.
So Fitzwilliam, at this point, you've gotten probably 90 feet away. So you're about.
Do I hear him
from the group?
Do I hear Calcifer?
Unless Calcifer yelled, I need you to roll perception.
Yep, I yelled.
Okay.
Then,
yeah, you heard him.
I stop and turn around to look and see what's happening.
And you see this what you can only state as a stone golem. That's also the statue of Rasteric. And it's actually turned now, and you can see that this statue of Rasteric, which is about the size of a dwarf as it happens, is actually walking towards you. Just very calmly.
That's still
not sprinting or anything.
Yeah, it still skeeves me. Like, statue of a god walking towards me makes me want to hide.
Okay.
Calcifer stops and starts walking towards the statue.
All right. I would also like some religion checks.
I was just gonna ask you.
Checks, please.
Okay, well, I got a...
Oh, 2 10s.
I got a 6 on my religion.
Okay.
6 on religion.
Hang on.
And...
Hang on. I gotta write...
Here.
Write stuff down. Was not prepared for this. Okay. So we have... Okay, so we have a 10 for religion for Brendan, a 12 for religion from Fitzwilliam, a 20 from Chris, and a 6 from Casey. Yes, I just decided arbitrarily to switch between player names and character names. It happens. So, let's see here. Chris and Fitzwilliam.
It's because Joel has his name as Fitzwilliam in the...
Yeah.
Probably. You are fairly certain that this golem is either a receptacle for a champion of Rasteric, of the god champion of Rasteric, rather, or is actually channeling the god itself.
Chris with a 20 doesn't know more than that?
He's heard of things like this, and that's basically how he knows. He is certain that it is either the god champion, who is also basically a god, or the god itself. Fitzwilliam has just heard of holy energy being channeled through these things.
Okay.
Let's see here. For Arcana, we have a 12 for Fitzwilliam, a 10 for Zahn.
It's a 3.
Oh, sorry, yeah. A 3 for Fitzwilliam, a 10 for Zahn, a 6 for Calcifer, and an 18 for Sarathiel. And Sarathiel, you are fairly certain that the holy energy emanating from this thing is coming from beyond the planes of existence that you know of, that you have studied or heard about.
So I can pretty safely assume that it's something much more powerful than I can comprehend, aka a god.
Yeah, basically because you're able to tell that it's coming from beyond the planes of existence, you are like 80 to 90% certain that this is Rasteric itself.
I bow deeply.
Fitzwilliam goes prostrate immediately.
Zahn follows with a bow.
Calcifer continues walking.
The golem actually stops a few feet away from you. It seems to be aware that it's kind of terrifying because it's a god.
It's casually a god. It's fine.
As one does.
It stops a few feet away from you and kind of waits, looking at Calcifer.
Calcifer comes within 6 feet of it, places his hammer to his chest, and does a slight nod to him.
A slight nod to a god?
The golem returns the classic acknowledgement of dwarven warriors by placing his its right fist on its left shoulder and returning the nod. And then all of you actually hear it speak. You will return the world. Mysteries lie deep in dark shadow under the blazing sun. Chaos worms like a serpent through the stone. Secrets cross man's stone. True gods go missing. False gods rise. You will save them. You will save the sister. And then I actually need all of you to roll dexterity checks. And Fitzwilliam, you are at disadvantage because you are prone, more or less.
But I'm also very far away.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Just roll normally then.
I got a nat 20.
Is this a save or a check?
It's a save.
Oh,
Okay. That's a 15.
Okay.
yeah, I rolled this regular by accident.
16.
Okay.
Oh, my save's actually 19, so...
Okay. So, Calcifer being the closest, you see him. Oh, well, basically, the first thing you see is this golem explode violently. Not to the same degree that would produce the shards that the statue of Baliok produced, but this golem, explodes violently, sending pieces of rock flying out. And Calcifer just Matrix styles this and just dodges all of these incoming rocks, actually managing to catch a rock about the size of a large apple as he's doing so. The rest of you basically dive to the side or roll out of the way, get down as these shards of rock kind of fly past you, and this wave of magical energy kind of buffets out around you. It hits you, but it's not physical, so you're not pushed back, but you're hit by a wall of magic as this golem explodes. And I actually need some perception rolls.
Hold on. Can Calcifer take this apple-sized rock and drop it in his bag?
Absolutely.
Because no one knows what it is, correct?
That is, yes, absolutely. And Calcifer, as you're holding this, you actually feel it vibrate with the energy of Rasteric.
Okay.
I definitely just crit failed my perception, so I'm looking the wrong way with my eyes closed.
You actually have hit your head on the tunnel floor, and you're no longer certain that there's a city actually there. You think it might just be a figment of your imagination.
I rolled a 16.
Okay.
I rolled a 14.
Okay.
I got a 14 as well.
Okay. So, with the exception of Sarathiel, you actually see...
I blame the concussion.
You actually see objects sitting on or before the pedestals of the gods.
Okay. I walk up to the pedestals, specifically Mialisha.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yes. So
Okay.
you actually see, sitting upon the pedestal of Mialisha, a beautiful, shining masterwork shirt of mithril armor, and it's folded nicely on the pedestal. Unlike most mithril shirts you've seen or heard about, this one isn't chainmail. It appears to be intricately smithed of tiny mithril plates joined together nearly seamlessly to form the armor. Whoever crafted this was beyond a master smith. And so do you try and pick it up?
No, because that doesn't seem to fit my character. So
Okay.
I look at Altasoth's.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I approach Altasoth's as well.
Okay.
I notice people going towards the statues, and I'm like, maybe I should follow.
Okay.
But I don't actually look at them because I don't know they're there.
I approach Rastrix. What was his?
Okay. So let's start with Altasoth. Upon the pedal of Altasoth is a small mortar and pestle made of what looks like living vines and stone woven very tightly together.
Okay, well that one's not for me.
Fitzwilliam is striking out.
Okay, so on the pedal of Rasteric, Calcifer, you see a beautiful but ancient engraved lute It's covered in swirling
That's
patterns.
right.
It's covered in swirling patterns of dragons and waves and of the wind itself. And despite its age, which is apparent only through the coloration of the oiled wood of the body, it's excellently well cared for. It's extraordinary.
Does Fitzwilliam see this?
Hold on, I was gonna respond to that. Hey, Fitzwilliam, I think you might want to come look at this.
Okay, I'll go over, see it, and say, "Ooh, dibsies," and grab it.
Okay, as you pick it up, you actually feel it pulse with this kind of subtle rolling energy. I need Arcana checks from Calcifer and from Fitzwilliam.
I'm so good at Arcana checks.
So am I.
9.
7.
So, Calcifer, you're unfamiliar with this, but Fitzwilliam, this lute seems to pulse with what you could only describe as like the power of music and will. It feels like it weaves the two of those it weaves music and willpower together, and you suspect that the use of this lute would be very potent.
Is it connected to the thing with the person?
Hang on.
Okay.
Mechanically, in-game, this basically means that when you are using the lute, you have to be actively using it. You gain a +3 to charisma and a +2 to performance checks. Additionally, you can choose to make your listeners win a wisdom contest with you or become incapacitated. As soon as you stop playing, all of those effects end.
So +3 charisma, +2 performance.
Mm-hmm. When you are playing it.
Yeah. And that's a will check against them, a will saving through. Wisdom.
It's a wisdom contest.
And that incapacitates them.
Yes, if you succeed. I do need you to make a wisdom saving throw, though.
Oh, so it's like an evil thing.
Not quite.
Well, that's a 7.
Okay.
I'm gonna cast guidance on him.
Okay.
I'm standing right next to him.
That is true.
Roll a d4.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Ah, that is a 2.
Okay, so you have a 9 total wisdom. Unfortunately, that's not quite enough. And the voice in your head, not the bloodlust voice, the other voice that you've been hearing since Hathdorian, since you read that story about the infamous bard, like, completely loses its shit. It goes crazy. And between the shrieks of excitement and, like, this gibbering desire, like, it takes control of your hands, and it just starts playing this lute. It doesn't seem to affect anyone, it's just rejoicing in the fact that it can play this lute.
Oh, fuck that. I'm helping. Like, I am A-okay with this. I'm playing too.
Alright, roll performance, if you will.
Okay.
Please, with the +2.
Let me see. I need to figure... We just... Anne.
What?
Oh, I'm just changing my character sheet.
Okay.
So that I can just roll it straight. 21.
So,
Damn.
you guys hear this music that Fitzwilliam is playing, and it's unlike any song you've ever heard. You don't know if it's an original composition, and by the way, Fitzwilliam, you do.
It's entirely improvised.
It's a composition that the voice in your head made, but it's original to that voice. But the music you hear kind of vibrates the air with power, with magic, and it's the most beautiful song you've ever heard in all your lives.
Can I roll to see if I start tearing up?
Yes, roll a d20.
Critical feels.
You're bawling your eyes out. You've just got tears. They're covering your face. They're dripping on the pedestal of Altasoth, and you're just like, you are so moved by this music. You feel like the song was written specifically for you.
Can I point out that I think this is the first time in this campaign I've rolled a natural 20?
It was to start crying.
When Fitzwilliam hears/sees this, he turns and winks at Zahn.
Through the tears, I pick up the mortar and pestle that was on the pedestal of Alpso.
So as you hold it, it seems to vibrate in your hands, and like this almost inaudible hum that kind of, it's like it runs up your arms, but you hear it anyway, and I need an Arcana check.
Okay.
While Zahn's doing that, I ask Fitzwilliam where he got the really cool... Because I don't know.
just for fucks, Fitzwilliam says, I conjured it.
Holy shit!
Roll bluff.
Okay. That's an 8.
Are you still playing?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, not bluff, deception. So that's going to increase your charisma modifier, I assume.
Is this just straight up charisma +3 or charisma modifier +3?
It's so your flat stat charisma is +3, but it adjusts your modifier as well.
Okay.
It doesn't add 3 to your modifier. It just increases the modifier to whatever the new charisma value would be.
Okay, well that would change it to +4. Okay. So that's a 9.
All right. Sarathiel, you don't believe him for a second. There's no way he conjured this thing. You are fairly certain that there's no way this thing was built within the last, 500 years. It's older than that.
I just kind of... I give him a little sardonic look. I'm just like, really?
Okay. Meanwhile, Zahn, you hold this mortar and pestle, and the first thing you notice is this thing is essentially indestructible. It doesn't really matter what you put in it, it's indestructible.
Hey, those lava flowers!
I was going to say, that's going to save me from melting my mortar pestle.
You also suspect that this mortar and pestle magically purifies whatever ingredients are placed inside of it and ground.
Yo, we need to get our hands on some cocaine.
Well, this campaign just took a sharp twist.
Oh my god.
Mechanically speaking...
D&D Vice.
Oh god. Mechanically speaking, this means that you get twice the number of uses out of all of your exotic ingredients and can craft more powerful potions from your basic ingredients.
Hey, guys, remember the 40-foot lava pillar?
Oh no.
Oh.
I just leave it at that.
It's gonna be an 80-foot lava pillar.
And actually, as you lift this mortar and pestle up, there's a brief flash of energy and light, and where the mortar and pestle were sitting is a medium-sized journal.
Oh, yes. I picked that thing up as well.
This journal hums with energy, but it's different. It's more subtle and solid than the energy of the mortar and pestle. And you suspect that this journal is immune to all forms of everything. You can write in it, but nothing will ever harm it in any way. This does not mean you can use it as a shield.
No, part of me...
It's still a journal.
Since I'm still suffering from the just overwhelming emotions that I felt from Fitzwilliams' playing, just holding this journal, another tear just starts strolling down my face.
Zahn,
an extra tear. Okay.
You are not certain in any way, and you think maybe it was the emotions, maybe it's, whatever's happening, but you think you might have seen the statue of Altasoth wink at you.
Just in case, I look up and just kind of nod my head in return.
Okay.
Has Sarathiel managed to figure out where people are getting these things from?
I was gonna grab her hand and drag her to it.
Okay. Okay, so that leaves the pedestals of Nealisha, which has a shirt of mithril armor on it, and the statue of Luliander.
I walk over to Luliander.
Okay. On the pedestal of Luliander, a long, dark staff of living heartwood sits gently atop this pedestal. It's almost like it's floating there, even though it's definitely not. But this staff is covered in patterns of vines winding their way up from the base of the staff until at the very top, it looks like it's carved to look like the vines bloom into a display of the most beautiful flowers.
Sarathiel picks it up almost like reverently.
As soon as you touch it, vines actually sprout out from the staff and gently wrap around your wrist and arm. They're not restraining you in any way, but they pulse with a heartbeat of their own, and they just kind of like gently grip your arm, as though, not as though you can't let go of the staff, but more as though if someone tried to take it from you, they wouldn't be able to. I need an Arcana check from Sarathiel and Calcifer if he's standing there.
Yep.
Okay, Arcana for both.
That's a nat 20 plus 3.
Okay.
I don't even know what wind is right now.
What'd you roll?
Natural 1.
Okay. Calcifer, you are absolutely certain, without question, that this thing is in no way magical. You're pretty sure it's just like, it's like a wooden closet dowel, that you hang clothes off of, but it's definitely not magical.
So I look up at her and say, oh, look, we got a stick to hang our wet clothes off of.
I glare daggers at Calcifer for that.
So, Sarathiel, the first thing you notice about this is that the staff in your hand and the vines wrapping around your arm and your wrist are pulsing with a heartbeat. And you immediately recognize that heartbeat. It's the pulse of the Dueldian forest. It's just like this familiar sense, this familiar rhythm that you thought you'd almost forgotten. You've been away from home for so long. And it feels like that pulse is moving within you as well. And you feel like this staff is full of the same slow-moving magic of that great forest. And that's now moving through you with the vines attached to it.
Where Fitzwilliam's music did not quite make me cry, this definitely makes a tear run down my cheek.
Okay. Mechanically, what this means is that while you are carrying the staff, you gain the ability to concentrate, which basically means you can't move or cast additional spells until you break concentration or you take damage, and you voluntarily break concentration. But while concentrating, you can see and hear through the plants and animals around you, which basically gives you a +5 to investigation and perception when you're basically in nature using the staff and concentrating. It also, will let you see what's going on in the clearing nearby. It's got a limited range, but it's very powerful. It's all of the information from all of the living creatures and plants around you. Let's see here. The vines also prevent you from being disarmed in combat, basically. And the staff itself is a +1 bludgeoning weapon. So it's a D8 +1 and a +1 to attack rolls, in addition to proficiency and stuff. And you also suspect, you haven't tested this, but you suspect that if you exert a will, you'll actually be able to throw this staff across a gap and have it basically form a bridge. The gap can't be more than 30 feet wide, and the bridge is 2 feet wide. So basically it can hold one person.
Okay, mine's the best.
You can't do it upward. It cannot be vertical. It has to be horizontal. You're not really sure why, but you suspect it's simply the vines don't have that kind of rigidity. You also can channel wisdom through the staff and speak with animals native to the forest without using a spell. And you can attempt to calm them if applicable.
And this means, like, they don't have to be, like, Dueldian animals, just animals that you could find in the Dueldian.
Yes, precisely. So, like, bears, wolves, deer, some kinds of birds. That just leaves the mithril shirt.
Hold on. Question. Did you name this? Because if you named this, I need to know the name.
I did not name it. It has a name, but you don't know it.
Okay.
Is how I should have phrased that. So I have named it, but you don't know what the name of it is. This thing is older than even the oldest elves you've met. Okay, so that just leaves the mithril shirt upon the pedestal of Mialisha.
So Calcifer walks up to it and does something a little bit different. He sits down and he meditates to Thor. Tries contacting Thor.
Okay. You don't even have to roll a d20 for that. You sit down and you meditate, and after a few minutes, you it's almost like the vista in your mind expands and you're dragged along with it. And you find yourself standing before Thor himself. And he's looking at you and he seems very pleased. So yeah.
Okay. Then I will stand up, come back to normal. Stand up and I will reach for it.
Okay. As you grab this, it's like there's a semi-firm film on top of the armor that vibrates a little as you touch it. Roll Arcana with advantage. Okay. So that's a 10. And as you're feeling this armor, as you're looking it over, it feels like a wall between you and the world, protecting you from anything that seeks to harm you. Do you put it on?
Yes, I take off. I put it on under my plate mail.
So as you put it on, before you get your plate mail back on, you feel it form itself to you, to your experiences, to your body, fitting you perfectly. And it feels as though you're wearing no armor at all. You're wearing a t-shirt is how it feels. Mechanically, this armor is a 19 plus dex, and it does not have a limiting dex. It also grants you resistance to magical influences over your mind and body, which means you take half damage from psychic attacks, as well as gaining advantage on resisting those. Additionally, and basically you're now being told this by Thor. Thor is in your head, and he's kind of speaking to you and pointing things out. And he basically says to you, if you put an effort of will, if you make a wisdom check in this armor, you're basically able to tap into the holy energy within the armor and cause it to light up as bright as the sun in the sky. And basically you look like a god for up to 1 minute, which grants you advantage on intimidation checks, as well as, people will think you're a god for a minute. And
nice.
You could light up a dark area if you wanted to, if you're into that thing. You also note, as you put it on, it seems to warm up a lot. It gets hot and then cools to a very comfortable temperature. Mechanically, you now have resistance to fire damage.
All right.
And you suspect this might be on a basis of experience, as there's no other reason you can think of for this armor to do something like that. You also, thanks to your connection with Thor, realize that this armor is the armor that Thor wore and is shown wearing in his mortal life as he championed Mialisha.
Nice.
So I also need perception checks from everyone.
I'm crying too hard. I can't see.
17.
You rolled with advantage, Chris.
And also you rolled persuasion.
Thank you.
Yes. So Fitzwilliam got a 5, and Zahn got a 5, and Calcifer got a 6, and what did Sarathiel get?
17.
Okay, Sarathiel, you've come back to your senses, playing a powerful magical artifact.
It centered me.
And you notice that there's a buildup of energy around the pedestal of Beliok. Not like dangerous or anything, but like a buildup of the energy that hit you when the Golem of Restorik exploded. So, and it's swirling around this pedestal, but it's not coalescing into anything. It's like there's some ingredient missing.
I walk over and put my hand on the pedestal and kind of close my eyes in meditation, trying to like figure out.
Before you're actually able to sense anything, to figure anything out, all of you feel this massive rumble, this like pseudo earthquake shaking the very ground upon which you stand. And as you stand in this square, you see at the edge of the city this enormous explosion of water just jet up and over the bridges. And you are now absolutely certain you know where the source of the rumbling is coming from.
Is it perhaps the water? Is it like tsunami flood levels, or like it's we could climb a building and live?
More like the water's not actually coming into the city.
Okay.
It just exploded upward and then came back down. Like something erupted from the water.
Nice.
Can I do an investigation? See
you can do perception. Would be to see it.
Okay. I'm rocking these perception rolls. Bloody hell.
22.
Okay. Is anyone else perceiving?
Stealth.
18.
Okay. So, and that's a 6 perception for Zahn. And so Calcifer and Sarathiel you both see the maw, this massive head and mouth of a creature larger than anything you've seen before coming out of this lake. And as it comes upward, it nearly destroys the bridge you crossed to get into the city. And you realize that this is the head of a dragon turtle.
Shit.
And that's where we're gonna end for today.
Shit.
Oh boy, things are about to get interesting.
Thanks for listening to this episode of A Conspiracy of Gods. If you're looking for more episodes, you can go ahead and check out the other videos on this channel or the playlist, which contains all of the episodes thus far. And remember to please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content and want to see some more of it. If you're looking for more information about the world, any maps, anything of that nature, go ahead and check out aconspiracyofgods.weebly.com. And, as always, thanks for listening.